Hey guys, how's it going? Another rough day in the market. I'm getting sick and tired of these red days, even though we've only had a couple of them scattered among months or weeks of just green day after green day after green day. These red days have kind of hit really hard. I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, got some positions that were assigned today. You probably got assigned shares of stocks if you were selling some cash secured puts. If you had some covered calls, you're probably looking pretty good because they probably expired worthless, but you may be losing unrealized losses on the shares of stock that you may be selling those covered calls on. So just an all-around rough day, I think, probably for anybody that's in the Theta Gang right now, unless you had call credit spreads on or something and you were just letting them ride to expiration and collect max profit. But again, big tech got hit hard today. We were looking pretty good in the morning, but then the afternoon was just rough. I mean, Amazon, Apple down over 1%, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, red, less than 1%, but still red. Semis got hit pretty hard. My boy AMD got hit by 3.3%. Micron was actually up 2%. I mean, you know what? I'm going to nickname Micron the Honey Badger because Micron just does not care what the rest of the market is doing. It goes down when it wants to. It goes up when it wants to. Micron just does not care. Nvidia also got hit a little bit, 1.2% in the red. But let's talk about my positions because I am not having a great week right now. So AMD opened up green. You know, futures were looking green pre-market. So I thought, you know what? We're going to have a rebound day today. We're going to rally. AMD is going to go into the 80s. We're going to be smooth sailing into the weekend. But no, we just started selling off all day long. We hit a bottom around 1:30 p.m. We did rally back a little bit to close out the day, but we still closed in the red, down over almost 3.5%. And as you can see, AMD closed at $76.58. I have cash secured puts, two of them, at the 85 strike that were expiring today. So my options were either to roll them out until next week or just bite the bullet and get assigned shares of AMD, sell covered calls on them. And I know I said in my previous video that I would most likely roll them out until next week. Because of this big sell-off, I would have only collected about $27 in premium if I rolled them out. And the way AMD is looking right now is that I don't think we're going to hit 85 by next week either. So I said, you know what, let me just get assigned the shares and then I'm going to start selling covered calls on them next Monday to just complete the wheel strategy on it. So as you can see, clearly AMD closed below $85 today. So I now own 200 shares of AMD, which I will start selling covered calls on them hopefully Monday if we gap up and go green on Monday. But as of right now, I own 200 shares of AMD and 200 shares of Virgin Galactic or Space. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do some math right now, I own them at $85 a share. Currently, AMD is trading at $76.54. So I'm actually down $8.46 per share times 200 shares. So I actually have almost $1,700 in unrealized losses on AMD right now. So, you know, it could have been a lot worse. I'm sure some of my viewers may have gotten hit harder on spreads or other positions that they may have just gone hard on. But right now, things are not looking so good right now. I'm kind of bummed. Really was looking to get into the week strong and end the week on a strong note and have a good weekend. But, you know, just have to shake it off and come back stronger. So looking at the covered calls, selling calls at 85 strike for next week. They're right now trading for about $28 in premium. So that means that I would collect $28 in premium for every $8,500 that I have tied up because it's $85 per share times 100 shares per contract. That's $8,500. So that would mean I would collect about a 0.3% return on my capital, which is not bad. I've certainly made these trades before, but obviously I would like a little bit more. We'll have to see what pre-market looks like Sunday night and then Monday morning, because if we're in the red again, then I may look into selling some covered calls below my cost basis at maybe, let's say, 82 or 83 to collect a little bit more return on capital. But we'll have to wait and see, because then that's going to add a little bit more stress to me, because if I do get exercised at that option, well, that's going to be below my cost basis. Then I have to think about rolling them out until next week. and it's gonna be a whole nother big thing. So the best thing that could happen for me is that we gap up Monday morning where AMD is trading closer to 85, so I can collect more return on risk while still selling these covered calls at my cost basis of 85. And yes, I understand that my cost basis is actually 85 minus the premium that I collected, but just to keep things simple, I like to think of 85, the strike, as my cost basis, because technically my cost basis is going to be somewhere about 84 and some change, but it's just much easier and simpler to keep track of if I just think of it as 85. So let's just look at the chart on TradingView for AMD right now. So as you can see, these are 30-minute candles. We're just zoom in for today. And it's interesting because if you know from my video yesterday, I actually drew a trend line here that I thought was going to be resistance. And that's about the $83 price level that I knew it was going to take a little bit extra oomph for AMD to blast above to get to my strike of 85. And so we actually just sold off even more today. But we had a little bit of a bounce here around 1:30 p.m. And so I drew this trend line here because if we scroll out, there's some points in the past about here, these are back in July, close here, and then today. So it seems that though, right now, about $75 is support for AMD. Now the other thing that scares me is that we have a gap right here that needs to get filled from about 70 to about 74. So I really hope next week AMD doesn't try to fill this gap, because then my covered calls would be even further out of the money, which would mean that I would collect even less premium. I'm really hoping this support holds and then we now bounce back up. We are very bearish right now because we're actually trading below the 21 and 50-day moving averages. If I switch to 1-day candles, you can see, again, this trend line is holding up relatively well that I drew. We basically bounced off the daily low right off this trend line of about 75. So we'll have to wait and see what Monday looks like. But on the daily chart, we're actually still above the 50-day moving average, which is a good sign, but we're below the 21-day moving average. So we're still bearish kind of short term. This trend line is probably going to be around 74-ish come Monday, 73, 74. So hopefully, if AMD does decide to go even further, it'll hit 73, 74 and then bounce off it and then start another leg up. I think if we break below this 50-day trend line, then it's going to be kind of like a lookout below, and we're going to go really bearish, and we probably will start filling this gap, and then hopefully don't try and fill this gap too. But that's why I'm kind of bummed right now, because my strike 85 is all the way up here. So I most likely am going to end up bag holding these shares for quite some time until AMD gets back up to 85, or I can keep selling covered calls to reduce my cost basis low enough to give AMD time to kind of get back up off my cost basis. So if you can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm not really too happy about this, but I think that was the best option as opposed to rolling them out until 85 next week, because I don't think 85 is going to get hit until at least a month maybe. We just need a big rally in the market overall. I think the only hope right now is a stimulus bill patching, but that's not looking too good right now. We'll have to wait and see what happens. My other positions were on Space or Virgin Galactic, and that has been good to me so far. I sold 2 covered calls at the 19 strike because that's my cost basis, or where I got assigned my shares at, and I sold them for $59 in premium each. So I was able to ride them to max profit today and collect a total of $118. So that was a nice win for me for this week, because as you can see, Virgin Galactic clearly traded below $19 and closed the day below 19. So next week, I'm going to look into selling some more covered calls on Space. The 19 strike is pretty far out of the money right now. I'd only collect $17 in premium. So that's not very much. I mean, $17 divided by $1,900 in my capital that's tied up per contract. It's 0.9%, right? So it's not bad in terms of return on capital, but it's just not a lot of money, right? $17 times 2 is $34. I would love it for, again, Virgin Galactic gap up come Monday so that this is closer to the money, so that I can collect maybe $30 in premium, or hopefully $59 in premium like I did this week. But we'll have to wait and see. But that is my strategy right now. Let's just take a look at the TradingView chart on Space. I actually drew some more trend lines on Space. So this is the daily chart. Each candle represents 1 day. So again, it looks like roughly $14 and some change is a support level for space right now. And it looks like around $18 and change is a resistance level. So again, my 19 strike or my $19 covered calls, it's going to be hard for it to kind of blast through this resistance level around 18 to have my shares called away. But again, I'm happy just selling covered calls on space and just bag holding it for a little bit longer and just collecting some weekly premiums. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. It's kind of surprising. I mean, this is all just because of the market sell-off, because right now there are two analysts that recently upgraded Virgin Galactic to a buy rating. And one, I believe, set a price target of $25, which is all the way up here. So I think if we didn't have the sell-off, I would assume Virgin Galactic would have rallied a little bit. But I think this overall market sell-off is just hurting basically every ticker, really. Let's just take a look at the 30-minute candles for a more accurate picture of what happened during the day today. So again, we just kind of had this big sell-off. This right here is a Fibonacci level. I mean, this red line is actually the, if I scroll all the way back, the 23.6% Fibonacci level. And as you can see, during the day, we actually dipped below it, but then came right back to it. So again, we're gonna have to wait and see if this is gonna act as support or resistance now come Monday. I think everybody, the market included, just needs some overall good stimulus news or some vaccine pump so we can kind of continue this rally now. I mean, we've retraced the market for a few weeks now. I mean, if we take a look at SPY here, we have gone all the way back, just zooming out here. Right now, we closed at 334.05, roughly. I mean, we haven't been at that level since mid to early August. So we've retraced, we've sold off, we've basically sold off about a month's worth of gains right now. So I think this is enough of a correction. It's time for another leg back up, in my opinion. Hopefully, my worst fear is that this is the mark of another giant sell-off like we had early in the year, or it's just gonna be like another dip like we had back in July, where it's just a correction, then we had another sell-off, a little bit of another correction, and then just started this big run up. So I'm hoping this is just another correction to shake people out of the market, and then we'll start another big green run up again, but time will tell. That was my trading day for the day, my trading week for the week. As you can tell, again, from the tone of my voice, not really happy about it, but what are you going to do? The best you can do right now is make the best of a bad situation and kind of limit your losses. I know people in my Discord server also took some L's this week, but you know, what can you do? This is what the stock market is all about. You're going to have your red days, you're going to have your green days, but hopefully your green days outweigh your red days. So let me know. Join the Discord server if you haven't already, if you want to commiserate. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them in the YouTube comments below. Let me know if you're bag holding some shares right now, what your strategy was this week to kind of limit some of your losses. And as always, happy trading.